I'm Jim Collison, and live from the Gallup campus, and actually live from the Heartland Developer Conference here in Omaha, Nebraska, as well as where Roy is at down in Texas. This is Gallup's Call to Coach, recorded on September 5th, 2014. Call to Coach is a resource for those who help others discover and use their strengths. We have Gallup experts and independent strengths coaches share tactics and insights as strategies to help coaches maximize the talent of individuals and teams, as well as organizations all over the world. If you have questions, comments, or contributions during the webcast, we do have a live chat room available for you. It's right below the main video window at coaching.gallup.com. You can log in with any social account. That's really the best way to get questions into our program, and we do take live questions from you if this is your first webcast. If you're listening to the recorded version or have questions about custom strengths coaching solutions for small, medium, or large organizations, contact us again at coaching@gallup.com or the contact page that's on the form there. Don't forget to visit the Gallup Strength Center. That's just gallupstrengthcenter.com for all your coaching resources and training needs, and you can also catch the video of both streaming and downloadable audio for offline listening to past shows, again, all at coaching.gallup.com. We have Jeremy Petrosini as our host today. Jeremy works as an advanced learning and development consultant with Gallup here on the riverfront. And Jeremy, it's great to see you, and it's good timing because they just got out of sessions here, and it's going to get really loud. Take it away.
Jim, thanks. Yeah, we know you're live on site, so thanks for joining. And everybody out there, again, I know a lot of us are regular listeners, coaches that are leveraging Strength Finder, whether that be in your independent practice or within the organizations you work for. Excited today because you've heard me talk about in the past this whole vision that we have at Gallup to reach 1 million coaches so that we can really help 1 billion people discover their strengths. So again, we're over 10 million individuals around the globe who have discovered their strengths, but we want to hit 1 billion. And again, the 1 million coaches that we want to partner with, like yourselves, are part of that strategy. Roy Spence, who's with us today, Roy's going to be able to share part of that story, but that whole vision of how we got to that, why we need coaches, Roy was a key part of helping us tap into that. So, Roy, we're excited you're here. Thanks for joining us from Austin.
Well, Jeremy and everyone, Jim, it's great to be here. I bring you warm greetings, literally warm greetings, from Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world, home of South by Southwest, home of Austin City Limits and the Texas Longhorns.
That's surprising. Somebody from Texas would start off talking about Texas. But anyways, let me brag on you for a minute too, just so people know who you are, why we're excited to hear from you, and then you can not be shy and brag about yourself a little bit more. But one of the things with Roy, he is co-founder chairman of GSD&M, which is a leading national marketing communication ad company. If you've heard the ad, which we all have, for Southwest, Bags Fly Free, that was those guys, along with anything from Don't Mess with Texas to, I know you guys ran all the Walmart campaigns and Walgreens now, Corner Happy Healthy, right? So all those components, I always say, Roy, that if you're a Mad Men fan, I always say you're the modern day Don Draper. I don't know
he's a lot taller, and I don't drink quite as much as he does, but I'm close.
So one of the things I know that you've done too in kind of this, I think Roy taps into your passion around strengths, is Roy has co-founded and he's the CEO of an organization called the Purpose Institute, which is a consulting firm helping both people and organizations both discover but also live out their purpose. So Roy, I'll let you talk a little bit about that. I know you've also written a best-selling book called It's Not What You Sell, It's What You Stand For, and the subtitle of why every extraordinary business is driven by purpose. So tell us a little bit about your journey, we always say you're part of the Gallup tribe, you're obviously a senior advisor for us, but tell us a little bit about your journey, why we're even chatting with you today.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me here, and I'm deeply committed to the whole notion of playing to your strengths. I'll tell you just a quick short story. I grew up in a little town called Brownwood, Texas, and my mom was a school teacher, God rest her soul. And I got lucky on this journey of purpose and playing to your strength. You've heard the story. I was in the 8th grade, and we had this little house, and I went to that's when kids did cursive. I don't know if you remember, but
Tattoos. Well, you tattoo on your neck, right?
Right. And I was doing 8th grade, and we were studying Emerson, who I love. And I had to turn in a paper, and I turned it in on that little blue book, and I got it back the next day, and I had 8 misspelled words, 8. And there was a big red marks everywhere, and there was a C. And I went home. C's were not like celebrated at the Spence home. And my mom didn't say anything. And I just went, wow, I dodged that bullet. Next year, I'm in the 9th grade, 14 years old. And I come home and I say, Mom, we're having a test on Emerson again, and I'll make another C. And I just can't. She said, look, Roy, you just do the best you can. So turned in Emerson. I had 11 misspelled words, not 8. The whole thing was red.
Got worse. Yeah.
It got really worse. And at the very top was an A minus. And I took the papers home to my mom, and I said, we were sitting around, back then we had kitchen tables, that'll date me, and I said, Mom, I don't get this. And she said, you can't spell. But she paused and said, but you can write. At 14 years old, my mother struck a grand bargain with me, and she said, Roy, I don't want you to spend another second trying to be average at what you're bad at. I want you to spend the rest of your life trying to be great at what you're good at. And I didn't know anything about strength finders. I didn't know anything about the science of it. But my mom at 14 told me, play to your strengths. And as the journey goes on, I'll take it just quickly. We started our little company at college. There were 4 of us, and that was 43 years ago last week, and we're still together. Everybody wants to be a partner, they just don't want to deal with the ship.
Yep.
Leadership, friendship, because sometimes it ends with another letter. But anyway, but the ship is where it all happens, and if good times and bad. So I've been on this journey of purpose. As you know, I got lucky, but I was curious about meaning and purpose, and I really studied a lot, but I hung out with my buddy Aristotle, who I actually like a lot, because I don't know why. I actually understand what he is talking about. So if you take if you start with the purpose of life, and I know this is pretty opinion-rich territory, but he said it 3 or 4 different ways, but he basically said, in a sense, the purpose of life is to live your life with a goal to do good, and in the process, be happy. Now, you can go to a lot of TED Talks, do good, and in the process be happy. By the way, if you're doing good and you're not happy, you're not doing good. You think you are. And if you're doing bad and you're happy, you're probably doing drugs. But that's a whole other issue. But if you take that thought of doing good and being happy, then how do you, Jeremy, discover your own vocation? And Aristotle said it the best again. It's where your talents and the needs of the world intersect. Therein lies your vocation. Therein lies your talents and the needs of the world intersect. Therein lies your purpose. And you can only bring that out, I believe, in my mind, living your life with purpose if you play to your strengths. If you play to your strengths. No one has developed their God-given potential trying to be average at what you're bad at. So when I hooked up with the Gallup tribe, one of the best things that ever happened in my life, honestly, we kind of had the same philosophy that we should all be on a mission as adults, especially in our public schools, which we'll touch on, to help every child, not child left behind, no talent left behind, no strength left behind, no dream. Because if I didn't have my mom, I would have thought I was a failure because I couldn't spell. I was doing a speech for Bill Clinton not too long ago, doing some work on the Clinton Global Initiative. I put initiative into spell check, and it said no suggestion. That's how bad I am. But hire a speller. So anyway, we can go for in life. I really believe the purpose of life is to play to your strength in service of the greater good.
Yeah. No, and so much of your story, like you said, you were fortunate that even without an assessment at a young age, you had your mom see that and kind of peer into that and let you believe in that. I want people to hear too. You mentioned kind of coming alongside Gallup, obviously as a senior advisor to us, friend of Jim Clifton, our chairman. You got to sit in the room in the early days when Paul Allen, who again Paul co-founded Ancestry.com, loved what we did with Strengths. We were hoping Paul could just help us somehow, make it go viral, take it to 1 billion people. So Paul was there to tell us how to do that, and you kind of slowed it down, saying, "Do we need to think about coaches?" Tell us a little bit about that. How you even showed up to that meeting. I think Jim asked you your top 5, and you hemmed and hawed a little bit. Right?
I did a little bit. It's really interesting because I was, and I'll make this short, but I was in the same camp. We just need to democratize this and put it in the hands of everybody.
Yep.
And then around the table, Paul was talking, and Brandon was talking, and Jim was talking, and Phil and some other folks. And I started realizing that if we did not coach people, they might interpret this the wrong way. And I had that. About 40 years ago, I decided I never wanted to be right again if I was wrong. I've been down that trip before as an entrepreneur. And the light came on, and so we started. I just got up and I get on the easels, and I started thinking about what can we be the best in the world at Gallup. Not only strength finders, but we can be the best in the world at getting 1 million coaches, because coaches, and especially millennials, especially when you're struggling about, I don't know what to do with my life, I don't know what I want to do, and all of this complications that are going on in your vocation. So we had the epiphany that we had to be the best in the world at coaching, so that everyone could live up to their God-given potential. And the light went off, and now we're down on this trail. So Jim ought to pay me a lot of money, I guess. Hi, Jim, I love you. But what y'all are doing and we're doing right now, I hate to say this because it's sometimes trite, but we're trying to improve the world.
Yeah.
One person, one coach at a time. And we can do that, by the way.
So talk about how, again, even in that moment where you went from having taken Strength Finder, right? So your top 5: strategic, arranger, maximizer, relator, responsibility. Those 5 themes, they kind of meant something to you, but when you had that coaching call with Jackie
was.
Tell us what crystallized for you. You were somebody who was playing to your strengths, but what did it do that kind of accelerated that for you as a leader, as an entrepreneur?
Jackie's fabulous, by the way. I'm just telling you, she changed my life, and actually accelerated my life, I guess, is better. When she went through all of them, I got them, and all of a sudden, I took off my armor. I just got to tell you, you just go, okay, I don't have to pretend anymore. I know what I'm really good at. I want to be great at that. Here's one that's really interesting. Responsibility was number 5. My next to the last was discipline. Herb Kelleher, who founded Southwest Airlines, said, and we're still doing all the work after 35 years, I love him. He used to describe me as the only CEO in the world with an attention span so short that I have to get USA Today summarized in the morning. But she held my hand and said, "You know why responsibility? You get up at 4:30 in the morning, don't you?" And I went, "How did you know?" She said, "You practice everything over and over, so you look so natural, but you over-deliver. You practice." I said, "How did you know?" And she said, "Because you're not disciplined, and responsibility takes over because you don't want to let anybody down." And that's who I am. So what happened then, Jeremy? My partners took the test. Now everyone at GSD&M is own strength finders. And let me tell you the simple part of this that's not simple. You have to have leaders in your company, or you have to be a leader yourself who actually wants to have strong on strong. You have to give up and let go where you're weak and say, it's okay, I'm going to get somebody next to me. And in our company, we call it the marriage of the dreamers and the doers. The doers and dreamers. No in-betweeners. And when I say that is, the in-betweeners want to be both. And they want to play like their weakness is a strength. I knew that intuitively. It has liberated us, Jeremy, the word I'm using. It has liberated us to be who we are. And then partner strong on strong. So and I've seen it all through my career. I didn't know the language that I do now, but and we got to talk about schools for a minute because America needs to start playing to her strength too.
Yeah,
And
what you're doing. Talk about what you're doing in Austin a little bit. How it went from not just GSD&M, but really want to make an impact in the city.
Yeah, we're really not. I can't go into a lot of details but we believe. Here's what I believe, and I believe it because my mom. The whole notion of standardized testing, I get. By the way, God had a big job. He could have made us, or she could have made us all the same. God made us all different. And the notion of standardized, and I get why we have to do the testing, but in the end, I don't think individuals are standard.
Mm-hmm.
I really think they're individuals, and I think what we want to do is embed strength finders in the 9th grade. I can't spell. You're a strategic guy. Let me show you where that goes. And Paul's working on a lot of stuff to do career building as well. I think teachers would love to be able to. I think. Oops. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Roy. Sorry to stop you in the middle of that. I didn't mean to. But could you turn your speakers down a smidge for me? We're getting just a little bit of echo from you.
Okay.
If you got a little knob on your speakers, it's okay. If you can't, not a big deal. We're just getting an echo back from you.
Let me turn it.
Okay. Is that
Perfect.
better or not?
We'll find out. I'll go.
Okay.
I'll drop out.
Okay. Is this better?
Yeah, I think that's good, Roy.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I think, and let me know if it's not. It seems like that America, we sometimes when we get in trouble, we have envy about other nations or other countries or what they're doing. Envy's maybe the worst thing any human being can have because you try to be like somebody else. The best you'll ever be is a worse them.
Mm-hmm.
Strength is about being a better you, a better us. This country was built on a premise that if you can dream it, you can build it. This country was built if you're going to work hard and play by the rules. It was an entrepreneurial dream. We were born entrepreneurs. And so I think as we're trying to get these young people not to drop out, when you drop out of school, you drop out of life, basically. So let's go play to our strengths. Find out what they're good at so they can be great at it. You can't do math. Well, let's see. We're either going to continue to make you do good at math and you're going to fail at it, or we're going to say hire somebody who's good at math.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this whole idea of America going back to our roots about dreaming and building again, which we'll talk about it, I think it's the real purpose of this country is that it didn't matter where you came from or what your daddy's name was or your family was. If you're willing to work hard and you have a big dream, dream it, build it. Only 2% or something of the schools even teach entrepreneurship in our schools. And yet it's the miracle of America. It's the miracle of America. I want our young people, and our young at heart, to realize you can jump off the building and build the wings on the way down if you'll play to your strength. And by the way, on one little thing, everybody says, I want to go into business by myself. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And they also say, oh, don't do business with your friends. That's the next stupidest thing. Oh, I got an idea. I think I want to live my life around my enemies. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of playing to your strengths and finding partners and purpose is the miracle of this country, and I think we need to embed that in all of our schools. Strength Finders in this new book that's just coming out, the Entrepreneurial Strength Finders, all kids should take this in the 9th or 10th grade. Because that is, Jim Clifton talks about that entrepreneurial gene. He has this great thing, and I'll stop on this one, but if you are a high IQ kid, the academic world will find you. If you are a AAA athlete, the sports world will find you. But if you are an entrepreneur, and that gene is even more rare than intellect, you're on your own. We need to go find those young entrepreneurs because they will keep America moving. And you can't do it unless you're playing to your strengths.
Yeah, well said. And I think one of the things that you've experienced, which you can even chat a little bit more about, but even with the Entrepreneurial Strength Finder, it helps you see your unique entrepreneurial talents where you're most dominant, but also where do you need help? You know, again, back to that whole point of there's no Fortune 1000 company out there that's run with just one person, right? They might have started that way in a dorm room or a garage, or even when you started your hot sauce business, right? It was an idea you had, but there were people that came around you to say, how do we make it and bottle it? Right?
Yeah, in fact, we had a big staff meeting on Founders Day a couple of days ago, celebrating our 43rd, and I read a little bit about the entrepreneurial strength finders. I'm off the chart in work ethic, confidence. Although I don't know why, but anyway, I'm all that. You come down to the bottom one, and it gently says, but very definitively, Roy, get over it. You can't do everything. You'll screw it up.
Yeah.
Let your partners do the stuff you're terrible. I have the delegation piece. It's where I have been always weak, and yet my best partners pick up what I try to do, and I couldn't get there. I always tell the dreamers can see the mountaintop, but we just don't know how to climb it. And the doers climb all the wrong mountains perfect. So you marry the doers and dreamers. It validated everything where I'm weak, and that's why strong on strong is so important.
Talk about that too, from a practical standpoint. So within GSD&M, I know, again, out of the gates, as we were even launching the Strength Stampede, talking about what organizations can do, you raised your hand, or your Duff, your president, right, to say we're gonna guinea pig all this stuff. We're gonna do it. I know myself and colleague Kurt Leesville got to come down and lead a session with Duff and some of your execs. Talk about how you've kind of put it into play, where it's not just, hey, Strength Finder's the book of the month. You did the cheese book and you did the 5 dysfunctions. Now we do strengths, and let's move on to what comes out next. How have you guys begun to embed it to really talk about that partnership, to talk about an ongoing piece that when a new designer joins the firm, like how is it that we're leveraging strengths to put people in their sweet spots? What have you guys found that works, and maybe what are the challenges?
First of all, great question, and thank y'all for coming down. I got to tell you that I don't know what all the pieces are with our momentum now at GSD&M. We've always been, since we're not on Madison Avenue, we're in Austin. I used to travel, and I'd say I'm from Austin. People would say, "Oh, Boston's a nice town." I said, "No. And now that's not anymore. You say Austin, and it's South by Southwest. It's electric." And when we first started doing strengths, you were there, and we had all disciplines there, and there was some skeptics. Oh, here's another Roy thing, or whatever. And Duff led it as CEO, but when yet sessions started breaking down and you ask everybody to write that one sentence, when you look at your top strength, at least your 5, what happened was we all kind of realized we needed each other.
Mm-hmm.
We needed each other. And we all knew it because we built, as you know, GSD&M is a culture of kindness in a war zone industry. Advertising is opinion rich, and so we built a kind company, a fun company, and one of our, if anybody comes to Idea City in Austin, you'll see our values are in concrete, because I met Jim Collins right after he put out Built to Last, and one of ours is community. We're all in this together. We knew it when someone got in trouble or someone's parent was hurting. We'd all rally, but now we know it in a business. We need each other, and that no one person can do it all. So we started pairing up strategists with empathy people, and we all knew that, but now science told us it was true. One final point. We also, it was able to liberate people to say, my mom or my boss used to always tell me I had to be really great at this. And I tried my heart out, and I realized I was killing myself and killing the company, because I played like I was a strategist. I can tell you one person in particular, not the name. Always, you can't make it in advertising unless you're a strategist. And he was terrible at it. And he'd screw up the whole system. He let it go. I'm a relationship builder. Okay. So if you take it seriously, I want to go back to this. It allows you to fulfill your purpose in life. Business gets a bad rap. And John Mackey in his book, Conscious Capitalism, along with Raj, really starts talking about what's the purpose of business. We know what a purpose of a doctor is, or a teacher. Purpose of business is to make money. No, it's not. It's a byproduct of improving lives with the products and services. It really is the old model, let's get rich and do a charity. It's done. We all have to be in the business of improving the lives of every stakeholder we have, our employees, our customers, our community, our planet. And if you play to your strength, you're a mighty force. You become a force of nature, I swear. If you play to your strengths and you've got partners in purpose, you become a force of nature, as George Bernard Shaw said. And that's the real thrill of life, of using your life by a mighty purpose. And Strength Finder is a key to unlock letting go. It's okay, I suck at that, and I'm great at that, and finding partners in purpose and strength. It's hard work, but it's liberating.
Share with us too, Roy. I've heard you talk about as you discovered your purpose and strengths. Again, not just the value that brought you in starting businesses, but even with your client partnerships. So again, whether that's Herb at Southwest, or Sam, you talk about that they didn't value you just as somebody who brought a product or a commodity or helped them be successful, but there was really this sense of we need each other and we're both going to win. But talk about how strengths plays into that. We're all in sales in one way or another, but how does knowing your strengths help you build that collaboration with your clients?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a lifelong journey of discovery, but I got lucky because I have 4 partners that we explicitly trust each other. We inherently played to our strengths. We didn't know that. And every time I tried to do something that I wasn't good at, we failed. And like I said, I told you a long time ago, I decided I don't want to be right again if I'm wrong. I'd rather be right than wrong. Here's what happens. We're all kind of salespeople at some point. You said it. But if you're comfortable with who you are, and you know that you're going to play to your strengths, you have a chance to build something even beyond a relationship with your clients, which is kind of the ultimate goal. You have a chance to become a confidant. Confidants relationships have no fear. Confidant relationships have no deception. Confidant relationships here is I'm here to help you fulfill your purpose. I'm here to make you successful in your stakeholders. You can talk to me about your spouse, your kids. So if you're comfortable playing to your strengths and not trying to be somebody you're not, that allows you to build long-term relationships because it's who you are. You're not selling who you are. You are who you are. And it allows your friend to do the same thing, and that meaning your client, and you wake up one day and there's no them, it's only us. It's not us and them. It's only us.
Yeah.
Well, add to that, Jeremy, if your clients have a mighty purpose, like Southwest to democratize the skies, and by the way, purpose in organizations will be the only way you win in the future. My book, my best-selling book, I didn't know it when I wrote it. When Haley and I wrote it, I had no idea the tide that it's not what you sell, it's what you stand for. And if you know what you stand for, then you will develop products and services to improve people's lives. Long story short, playing to your strengths allows you to be liberated and not have to try to be something you're not anymore. And that opens the door of vulnerability, but it also opens the door of trust. I just wrote that line. I like that line.
Write that down.
You write that. No, literally, when you open the door of vulnerability, then you open the door to trust. So you build confidant relationships. to be with Southwest Airlines for 30 some odd years, with Walmart for 17 years. You build these confidant relationships. That's what strength finders will. If you do it, you'll be liberated to find out what you're great at and liberated to dump the garbage.
Yeah.
Dump the garbage.
Well, and what I hear you saying in that, and again, this goes back, Roy, even to 2 years ago, we were talking about, Gallup's work around organizational identity and culture. And if culture really is just simply how we live, how the people in the organization live, you got to ask, does it line up with the brand of not only how you're known, but how you want to be known? And I think the cool component, and we talk about this a lot at Gallup, is both those pieces have to be fueled by purpose, which is so much what you value for us. And I think that element that if I can identify through my top 5 signature themes, part of my purpose, why I exist, what I bring to the table, that then becomes my brand. That becomes what you can count on me for, what my clients can count on me for. And there's a lot of freedom in that. It's being who you are and who you're not, right? I mean, again, Southwest did so great at that to go, hey, we're not serving chicken. That's not what we do, right? Go fly somebody else.
I remember Sam Walton. I was blessed to ride with him. He liked me because his dog was named Roy, and his dog food is named Old Roy. But anyway, he told me one time, he said, now, Old Roy, remember this. We're the cake, and you're the icing. And he said, let me make a point clear. This is way before purpose was even discussed in corporate America. We're the cake. All you have to be is the icing. With companies that don't have the cake, advertising has to manipulate. I was just stunned. I was 29 or 30 years old, whatever it was. I don't remember, 34. And so, in a sense, that journey, that if you have a company that stands for improving lives, and I think every great organization should be in the life improvement business, improving your associates' lives, improving your clients' lives, improving your community and your country and your planet. And you develop products and services. Strength Finders is a life improvement service. That's what it is. And when you are in the life improvement service, you do not rest until you fulfill that to other people. So organizations right now, the great ones, the ones that are built to last, the good to great, this purpose wave, I had no idea, I swear, how big it was going to be. And this 80 million of these millennials hitting the beachheads now in America, 80 million of them. We had 60 million in the boomers. We thought we were pretty cool. Life without meaning is not going to be important to them. And I'm making a generalization, but if you can find what you do every day, if you can be a Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, Container Store, Southwest Airlines, LL, all the clients, and by the way, our client roster is steeped in purpose, because you know why? We don't have to do all the work. I'm just letting the secret out to the world.
Yep.
You have a company with a mighty purpose, and by the way, you better have good products and services. It makes our job easier. And you know what else it does? It lifts the creatives to do awesome work. Because they're not having to make up anything. They're telling the truth well told. So long story short on that, but it's the future. And Strength Finders and engagement, number 8 on the engagement 12 steps. Do you work for a company that you know what the purpose is? I think that's going to rise to the top, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you're right. And again, I just came from being on site with a client in San Francisco earlier in the week, where that mission and purpose component of not only is it clear, but that question again, getting to the heart of, does it, as an employee, does it make me feel like my job is important? Is there that connection? Is that how do I contribute to it? And organization to find that purpose, and then for individuals to find theirs and align those two things is pretty key. So go ahead.
Real quick, I was making a speech. I was fabulous, by the way. And I made it on the spot because Gallup was with me with this client, and there was 5,000 people in the audience.
I was there, so be careful what you say.
So we're sitting there, and I just sort of started thinking about how the Earth goes around the sun. I was live, and sometime I wander. But anyway, I come back. And I kept thinking about the premise of Tai Chi in a sense that you really don't get older. The Earth just goes around the sun. You have nothing to do with it. And that's another whole conversation. But if you want to be the Earth around the sun as a culture, you start with purpose. And remember, I went live, and then you get into engagement. And then you get into the 5 essential elements of well-being. And then you go make a difference in people's lives. And it becomes a natural part of the way you operate. Cultures are going to have to become natural.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, America too. We ought to start thinking about what's the purpose of America.
Mm.
We ought to think about engagement with our citizens. Do you think what you do on election day is important? I'm not going to go here, but if you ladder yourself up to think that big, are our citizens involved with the 5 essential elements of well-being?
Mm.
And we measure all these things in a sense, but we haven't figured out that way to pull it all together. So I think they all work together.
Mm. No, I love it, and you're absolutely right. That integration of the science of what we found that makes people tick, of that strengths drive engagement, that sense of engagement, drives that sense of purpose and career well-being, and so much of it is what improves somebody's overall, not only their quality of life, but their city that they live in too. So let me Jim was just pinging me on a couple questions that have come from some of the live listeners. So Dan Buxton asks this, and this kind of plays into that piece you were talking about of even people near retirement or in their careers thinking about how they can not only find their own purpose but influence others. Dan asks this question. He says, does age play into who can help influence millennials and help them find their purpose? Would an older person resonate with them more than someone closer to their age?
That's a great question. I'm not an expert at it. There are some people, some Jason Dorsey's, and my daughter has a company called C. Spence. Here's what my experience has been. Our generation tends to ask the wrong question with young people. And that question is, well, honey, what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I say, stop it. Hell, I don't know what I want to do. It's the wrong question. Jim Clifton talks about this a lot. If your core premise is off, like where do jobs come from,
mm-hmm.
you will always find the wrong solution. I think we need to ask, whether you're older or especially with parents, with millennials, struggle with the idea of asking your kids what do they love to do. Now, it's a subtle difference. Oh, Dad, that I can't make. I love to go hiking. I'm a hiker. Really? Okay. Let's go figure out how to build a business around hiking. Ask them what they love to do. And because our generation didn't know what we wanted to do, but that was the question. Just everyone needs to take a deep breath if you have a kid or a grandkid and start probing what their strengths are and what do they love to do.
You're a dad. I mean, tell us how you've done that, how that's played out.
Well, I have 3. I taught them two things. One, be kind to everybody you meet.
Yep.
Because everybody's fighting some kind of battle. And I've got 3 great, kind kids. And I told them you can make a living doing what you love to do. And they all had struggled through all this, but my oldest got a company called C. Spence and Students of the World, and they do documentaries around the world and around America to shine a light on progress, not problems, progress. My middle daughter walks in and says, I love yoga. 2 years ago, she opened Wanderlust Studios downtown Austin, and she's actually making money. Most yoga studios don't. She's living her dream. My son, I tell the story, comes home, cooks us a 5-course meal from Tulane, made good grade, and said, Shay, what have you been doing at college? He went, watching the Food Network. And I went, let's go. So he just graduated from ICE, Institute of Culinary Education in New York, working for Rachel Ray. Life is not perfect for your kids, and it's not perfect for you, but if you can get on the idea of playing to your strength, if you can find out where your talents and the needs of the world. So many, during the pre-economic winter, which we just got, we're not out of it yet, by the way. If you see the jobs reports today, we're not going to get out of it until we get entrepreneurship. We're not going to get out this unless we get 1 million new businesses a year. Clifton knows that, but it's just going to continue to do this. And anyway, don't get me off on that. But it seems like if we can just reinstate the idea that everyone's worthwhile and everyone has a talent and everyone has a dream, let's as adults go work on the dream, not how you're going to make money.
Yeah.
Go work on what you're great at and what you love to do, and then figure out a business plan, whether you work for somebody. I had a real short story. I had a young man that wanted to be a performer, and he just couldn't make it in the music business. And I sat down with him one night, and we talked about, you like to perform? Why don't you be a teacher? He went, what? You've got the biggest stage in the world. He went back, got his teaching license. He's teaching junior high. And he's the most beloved teacher because he's performing. He's doing whatever. So a lot of times we take it, I want to be this. No, what do you love to do? Oh, I love to perform. Okay, well, wait a minute. You're niched in the music. There's a lot of other ways to perform. And we can help young people realize the world's pretty big if you know what they love to do.
No, that's great. Another question from Florence Hardy, and this I think ties back to when you were talking about the importance of partnership, and then even when you talked about discovering your own strengths, you saw that you were high responsibility, low discipline. She asks a question, what advice or experience do you have for us on how to build strong relationships with different strength sets? How do you get a good understanding of each other versus confronting each other because of conflicting likes and priorities?
Great question. I'm going to give an anonymous story, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Young woman starts a new business, calls me for advice, and she had her first staff meeting. Small, 15 people, I don't know how many. And I advised her to do two things. One, get everyone to take strength finders. And secondly, have opening sessions about what's your favorite quote. What is your favorite scene in a movie? What is your favorite poem? So you've got kind of that left brain, right brain thing going and getting to know people. The truth of the matter is, if you actually know your strengths and you're willing to give up on the idea, I can't be strong here, and let it go, you actually want someone to be your partner who's not just like you. You realize strong on strong doesn't happen when you're both strong at the same thing. It changes your whole dynamics of looking at a human being. I know I'm weak and I'm scared here. I know I'm not good here, and oh, that person. So you start having a different conversation about strong on strong. And I know it's a little bit trite, but I got your back, man, on this one.
Yeah. By the way, her team, she sent me an email that the impact that had on her team in those simple questions, which she again was looking at you and I going, what is it? One of her team members who runs a separate company said, we need to do this with our team, and shot me an email yesterday saying, can we talk? So
it's almost like you get to know each other for the first time. And a lot of times, like I said, to answer the question with the person, we had all these people in our company that we thought we knew each other. We knew each other, but we didn't realize we needed each other. And I don't need for you to be bad at what you're really bad at. Stop that.
Yep.
I want you to be great at what you're good at, because I'm bad at that. And then I'll just tell you what's happening. I'm knocking on wood right now, but what happens is you build a culture of shorthand. A culture of shorthand. That's a good line. Got to write that down. And so you don't have to walk. You don't have to walk through it every time.
Yeah.
I got it. I'll take it. That's mine. I'll take it. And that culture of shorthand, by the way, allows you to spend most of your time at work doing stuff that you love to do and you're great at. Because the other person actually is doing what they love to do, and you go, how can that person love to do that? And they're just eating it up because it's their innate talent. So it liberates, and it also builds cultures of goodness and also shorthand.
Yeah, we've got one of our managers, Mike McDonald here at Gallup. He says that all the time. Strengths is relational shorthand. It lets him see before he even meets you. He learns things about you, about what makes you tick, the value you bring. And to Florence's question, Florence, there's parts of what Roy just said that sound so simple, asking some of those questions to people. But when you let them and hear from them, as they talk about what makes them come alive, the group begins to go, oh, I saw that.
Sure.
I heard a CEO share that with his admin partner. He just said, without you, we wouldn't be, and she was like, what? She just thought she was just doing her job. She didn't know that responsibility of making those calls happen and getting those meetings scheduled. She had no idea the impact that he felt from it. But as she shared it, he then validated it, and it brought tremendous value to that I need you, you need me piece. So
also too, we also work. I know you with Purdue and some other. I've got a roommate in college. I look a lot better than he does now. But anyway, his name's Ed Gideon. Shout out to you, brother. Who's an executive coach. Universities are going to have to get in the coaching business.
Yeah.
Because, and we all know it. But kids are getting out of school, and then they got a degree, and they can't pay for it, and so all of this stuff, this coaching. The reason I'm so optimistic about America, if we'll do what T.S. Eliot said, you go back to where you started and know it again for the first time. We fought but we raised the barn again together. When we were at our best, especially during the winters. We've had a winter during the World War II, a winter at Civil War, a winter at the American Revolution. America's still in this generational winter. And the truth is, we can all be in this together if we will play to our strengths. And so all the executive coaches out there, the reason Gallup's Strength Finders can help, you can come at your clients with new language that might crack an old problem open and solve it. It's not the only thing that you can do out there. We need to have a generation going to college that people know that what their strengths are. What are you going to major in? Major in your strengths. Forget the course title. I'm going to be a strategist, man. Really? Well, what does that do? Let me tell you the 5 strategists on BuzzFeed or whatever. Create all those quizzes. Who's your hero strategist? Oh, yeah, I want to be like her. There's so much we can do when people start realizing I'm not worthless because I'm bad at something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. And then what do? You hang out with people who also think they're worthless. We've got to lift people up here in America. We have a chance to not lose another generation if we can find kids and let them know what their strengths are. Optimism and encouragement and truth.
Roy, what would, and kind of bringing this to a close, because I mean, can't believe how fast this time's gone by. But what's your charge to us? You've kind of, and even those statements you just said there, there's a lot as executive coaches, some of us as leaders, managers within our companies. You talked about the fact that America was built, on this premise of dream it, build it. What's your charge to us, like those of us that are out there on this journey with you, with Gallup, to help, 1 billion people discover their strengths? We need 1 million of us as coaches doing that. What's your charge to us?
Good question. And my mom and dad used to always tell me, you better challenge yourself before you challenge somebody else. And so I'm obsessive about making sure I'm living up to my God-given potential, because that's the most important thing. But I think there's 2 or 3 things. Number one, keep doing what you're doing and democratizing both strength finders, entrepreneurial strength finders, and getting our coaches. We have to be on a mission. Second thing is, It'd be interesting if we had that big, hairy, audacious goal as a Gallup tribe to encourage every business to adopt the school, but not the old way. You adopt a school, and you go put strength finders in that school. And you go on a mission to bridge the young and the older generations together by common language. We don't have common language with generations. Now, I've never told anybody this, so Clifton, listen up. This idea of strength finders could be common language between generations. If GSD&M adopted a middle school, and we had 2 or 3 other people do the same thing, not the old way, yeah, we'll do books and help you with cleaning up, but we want young people to take strength finders. We want teachers to, and make it a long-term goal that every year we're going to get another 100 kids right next door speaking our same language. I would challenge us to do that. Third thing is, y'all are going to do it anyway, but if I can lift off Dream It, Build It, and it becomes the first national, we're going to do this, the first national brand where I'm Roy Spence, I'm in advertising, I want to be a farmer. Gallup can come in and help with entrepreneur testing, with strength finders, but also mentoring and coaching, maybe more than we've ever thought about, especially if we can get 1 million coaches to say, we're not only going to coach the people who can pay us, we're going to do a Tom Shoe thing.
Yeah.
We get paid one, we're going to give one. But I don't know where all that goes, but I know that America's problem rich, and we have solutions that are already on the ground in so many areas. Our government seems to not want to scale solutions on both sides because they're interested in building their partisanships funded by special interests instead of the ship of state flying the American dream flag. We have to build the ship of state again, and we do it by playing to our strengths.
Roy, that's awesome, man. I again appreciate you, just your thoughts, your passion, and you being here. Jim, closing thoughts, comments, what people need to know.
Yeah, no, we've got a lot of stuff coming up available, and we want to say if you missed any part of this live or you want to watch it again, it's always available for download. The one site you really need to kind of pay attention to is our coaching site, coaching.gallup.com. All the links are available out there, including some meetup links that are out there. And if you are, we've got, and actually in your area, Roy, we've got a bunch of meetups going on down in Dallas and Austin.
Nice.
And so if you want to be a part of some of those meetups, we even got one in Singapore. If you want to be a part of those meetups, head out to coaching.gallup.com and click the meetups tab, as well as all the videos are available for you. After the fact, certainly feel free to share those with your friends, neighbors, relatives, and we'd love to have you do that as well. Jeremy, what do we have coming up for Called to Coach over the next couple?
Yeah, so we've got, in a couple weeks, we've got one of our internal coaches around the world. Roy mentioned Jackie Merritt, who we've had on the show, but a lot like Jack, fantastic work with executives and teams. So we're excited to have her on. I may be joining from Hong Kong. We'll see how that works, but if not, we'll again, excited to hear her story. And then Paul Allen, who Roy mentioned, is going to be joining us later this fall as well, just to kind of recast the vision, talk about what we're doing to equip coaches around the world in regards to what that looks like and where impact comes from. So, Roy, was there a website? I know we mentioned the Gallup Strength Center site. Is there a website or somewhere, too, that we can begin to find out more about Dream It, Build It, or is that...
It's not up yet. It's in the. We've been working on it for a long time. Gallup's been embedded in it, but I think we're going to launch it pretty soon, and it could get America moving again.
Cool. Well, we'll on the coaching.gallup.com site, for any of you who are interested, once that becomes available, we'll post that out there, or have Roy post a blog to tell us more about it. So.
All right.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
You bet, for Roy and for Jeremy, and sorry that we had some noise going on around here. But Roy, always good to see you. We'll be back here in 2 weeks for another Call to Coach. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Happy weekend.